Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. 500 years ago, the scope of your interaction with the world was much more limited than the scope of your interaction with the world today. Even 100 years ago, even 50 years ago. Today, everybody has a screen in their house called a television, and the whole world is opened up through that screen. And you also have, on most television sets right now, about 20 different stations broadcasting the news. You have BBC, you have the French news, you have the Japanese news, you used to have Russian television, and then you have all of the local outlets and all of the outlets in the United States, all constantly blaring what's going on in the world at you. And in order to keep viewership, they all try to make what they're talking about incredibly important, and they try to make you think that what they're talking about is an essential part of your life, and that's why you should be listening. If you go to somebody in a monastery, they don't have access to media. As a matter of fact, they do away with media. If you go about 70 miles from here to the world of the Amish, they also don't have access to media. They've decided that media should not be part of their life. If you go to Brooklyn, to certain Hasidic communities, they also have banned media from their homes. Now, these are ultra-Orthodox people, the Amish, the Hasidim in Brooklyn, the monks in monasteries. They have decided that they are going to turn their life towards God and not let the world interfere with that. So here we are, in a world where we have televisions, and we have access to media, and we watch media, and we become concerned. The one thing that the media does is it makes you concerned, because they project that everything that they're reporting on has some kind of a direct impact on you. It's like the reporting prior to storms, prior to a major weather event. In the South and the Southeast, these mostly have to do with hurricanes. In the Northeast, these have to do with snowstorms. And the projections on the snowstorms are half the time wrong, and half the time a lot less than what they project. But to keep you watching, they have to make you think that you are in jeopardy. And that's what the news does. It tries to make you believe that you are in jeopardy. Not that they're going to do anything about solving it, but they are going to let you know that you are in jeopardy. Well, this feeling of being in jeopardy is not good for you because it does a lot of things that harm your state of well-being. And one of the things that we have to do in order to be able to make a true connection with reality is be at peace within ourselves. And it's very difficult to be at peace when people are constantly harping at you, the world's not at peace. You can't be at peace. There is no peace. Well, this is all a lie. The world has always been in a difficult situation. It's the nature of the world. But we have to somehow be able to separate ourselves from all of the apparent jeopardy that the world is in. We have to be able to find peace within our own being in spite of everything that's going on around us. Now, we're very fortunate living in the United States. There is a very peaceful existence here if you want to allow yourself to be peaceful. But within this country, if you listen to the rhetoric about politics and the emotional involvement of many people, you might think, where has that peace gone? And why can't these people also be at peace? And the reason, quite simply, is they believe that the world is run by politicians. And the politicians have great impact on the world. They believe the world is run by armies, and these armies have great impact on the world. In truth, the world is run by God. And in truth, the ones who have influence on God are the ones who become close to Him. And the ones who become close to Him have chosen to become close to Him and to spend their life in pursuit of Him. So, who are we? Are we the ones who are influenced by the world and react to the world? Or are we the ones who have allowed the influence of God to influence us and react to that? One of the names of God is Salam, which means peace. Now, that Salam is constantly in existence. The question is, can we be in tune with that? Or are we in tune with the discordance that the world is constantly sounding? So we have discordance on the left and God on the right. Can we let go of the discordance and find the harmony that exists in reality? Can we remove ourselves from the discordance and put ourselves into harmony? And can we stay in harmony in spite of the constant attempt of the world to put us into discordance? There's an old saying, misery loves company. If you are with people who are miserable, they are going to influence you to become miserable over time. They will find plenty of things that you can be miserable about. But if you choose the glory and the grace of the mercy and compassion that is Allah, all of that will fade away. If you can see the perfection in creation and the perfection that exists in spite of the world's attempt to do away with this perfection, you can find a place for yourself that is peaceful. And that's what we have to do. In order to become real, we have to remove ourselves from the illusory nature of the destructive world, which is constantly putting everything and everybody in jeopardy. So we have to somehow escape from this. Now, it's true, and we shouldn't ignore it, that escaping from the jeopardy is more difficult in different parts of the world. I mean, if you have people bombing you, your ability to become peaceful is not as great as it is in places where there is no civil disobedience. So we, in our position, in our world, in our situation, need to be able to find a space where there is peace for us. If we truly believe that the purpose of our existence is to know our Lord, that the purpose for our existence is to find reality, then we have to do some work to escape from illusion and to escape from the forces of illusion that are constantly trying to bring us down, bring us into fear, bring us into jeopardy. Fear is a result of not knowing what is going to happen in the future and dreading it. If we stop the fear and we allow ourselves to go along with what's happening without the worry, and worry again is contemplating the future as if it's going to go all wrong without actually understanding what's in the future. If we can do away with that kind of thinking, then life becomes an adventure. What's going to happen next and where are we going? The end of this road is the same for everybody. Some sooner than others, but it's still the same for everybody. It's part of the way it's been set up. But if we have faith, and if that faith is strong, we can move through this world in joy and in happiness because we have no fear. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. We all need to understand that and to know that our God is a personal God who is here for us to the extent that we are here for Him. If we are with Him, He is with us. If we remove ourselves from Him, He waits for us. But He is always there, ready to accept us as we are ready to accept Him. But if we are busy and overwhelmed by the world and by what's going on in the world and constantly interacting with all of that, then we don't have time for Him. We're too busy trying to change and straighten out the world. Do we really believe that we can change and straighten out the world? Do we really believe that that's the way it works? Or do we believe that the holy men in this world are what bring about change? Do we believe, as the Quran says, that people will get rulers according to their nature? And do we believe that if man's nature changes towards godliness, that we will get rulers that are more akin to godliness? And do we believe that other people are the ones who are supposed to change, or we are the ones who are supposed to change? And who's going to be the first one who does it? Who's going to be the leader in changing towards godliness and ignoring the illusion? It has to be each of us. That responsibility is on each of us. There's the story of God declaring to Abraham that he was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham argued with God and said, if there are 50 good people, would you destroy it? And God said, no. If there are 40 good people, would you destroy it? And God said, no. If there are 30, no. 20, no. 10, no. 5, no, I wouldn't destroy it. And then Abraham became embarrassed to ask for anything lower than that. And Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed because there weren't 5 good people. Well, imagine, how many good people does it take to save the world? How many good people are there? And who are these good people? And the bigger question is one of those good people you? This is our work, to become the ones that are close to God. And in doing that, we alter our lives. Our lives become peaceful. Our lives become serene. Our lives become easy. Our lives become trouble-free because we don't allow trouble to interfere with us. We don't take on situations and look at them as if they are troublesome. We understand that all of the trouble that we see is illusory, and in truth, all that exists are the qualities that are God. All the rest is what He has thrown off, and are the kingdom that's ruled by Satan. We need to run away from that kingdom and run towards the kingdom of God. The kingdom where truth exists, the kingdom where justice exists, the kingdom where kindness and love exists. We can change qualities. When you're jealous of somebody, if you change that jealousy to admiration, all of a sudden that person can become inspirational for you. It's a matter of attitude. It's a matter of understanding truth as opposed to seeing things from the perspective of, why does he have it and I don't? Why do they have that and we don't? When you can relieve yourself of the burden of me and you and change things to the universal unity that exists between all mankind, everything alters for you as an individual. Because all of a sudden, all of the individual difficulties that people have because they separate themselves from other people and they consider themselves different from other people begin to go away. When you and I are the same, when I see you as I see myself, when I want for you what I want for myself, conflict decreases, and it decreases to the point where unity and love take its place. So things that bring about conflict no longer exist because there isn't a competition. There isn't a competition between you and I. In a marriage, there's supposed to be a partnership. Both of you are working towards a similar goal. But if the two of you are at odds with each other constantly, then there is no unity within that household, and things become very difficult. As it is with two, so it is with many. If there's competition constantly among everybody, then there's going to be difficulty. If everybody resents what anybody else has or gets, there's going to be difficulty. If people believe that if they can't do it, nobody else can do it, there's jealousy. If people believe that they are the standard for all existence, there's going to be difficulty. Moses came down from the mountain, and a man whose name was Choresh said to Moses, "Moses, who put you in charge? We're all equal. We're all the same. Why should you be the one leading us?" And Moses looked at him, and then God struck the ground where Choresh stood. It opened up and swallowed him. We need to understand that there are holy ones in this world, and we can aspire to that holiness. But we should not think that we are holy if there are holy ones around us. We must aspire towards holiness. And we must also understand that God has put some in places of holiness to assist and to guide us. And we should be supportive of these people, not jealous of them, not in conflict with them. We have to be supportive of them. I grew up in my middle years with a teacher. And I say I grew up because growth begins to occur when you begin to interact with reality. And prior to that, there is no real growth. There's just getting older. So I found that while I was with this teacher and very grateful for the opportunity to be with him, there were people within the same group who were trying to undermine what the teacher was saying, that were trying to undermine the ideas that he was trying to put forward. But then, as I saw the world, I found always that there are people in every situation who are looking to undermine things as opposed to make things better. And I also saw that it all came down to a very simple paradigm: the need for personal power and the inability to surrender to a greater power. And Islam means surrender. And surrender to what? Surrender to God. And it needs to be understood that no matter what station you are at in humanity, there is always surrender to God. When you talk about the Prophet Muhammad, it is said, Muhammad abduhu wa rasulallah, which means he was the slave, abd, and the rasul, the messenger. So before he could be the messenger, he was the slave of God. And it's through that surrender that we become exalted. And without that ability to surrender, we cannot become exalted. So we have to let go of everything within us that refuses to surrender. We have to let go of our pride. We have to let go of our egocentric nature. And we have to give it all over to God. And as we surrender to Him, reality becomes more evident to us. As we hold back from surrendering to Him, the world seems more relevant to us. It is through that surrender that peace comes into us, because peace is one of His qualities. It is through that surrender that mercy comes into us, because mercy is His quality. All of the exalted qualities come into us by way of our surrender to Him. As we surrender to Him, we become more like Him. As we give up our worldly nature, we become more like Him. So we are in a constant process of surrendering more and more and more. And at every state, there is always the temptation for the arrogance that says, I've made it. And if that arrogance comes, you fall back down to believing in the world. Because there is no end to the surrender, and there is no end to the qualities that are God. There is no end to the highness that He is. And there is no end in our journey towards Him. There are an unending number of thresholds to cross to come to Him. So we are pilgrims on the road to our Creator. We are pilgrims on the road to the truth. And a pilgrim has no home. A pilgrim has no connection to the world. He has no place in the world. He's constantly moving onward towards the truth, onwards towards a greater understanding of reality. If we have chosen this path, we should know there is no rest, but we should also be happy in knowing that. It shouldn't cause us distress. It should make us joyous because we understand this is the true way. So, in order for us to find our Creator, we have to find joy in our being. And as we become more and more joyous, our surrender becomes greater and greater, and our connection to reality becomes greater and greater. May this path be made easy for each of us. May it be made in such a way that we can do it without second thoughts. May our faith be strong, and may it push us forward and take us through all the apparent difficulties so that we see that there are no difficulties. There's only the truth. And may Allah take us through it and find us and bring us close to Him. Ameen. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.